All right, welcome. Today, we're diving into something huge, how you can actually protect your most critical cloud data. Because let's be real, in today's digital world, a simple backup just doesn't cut it anymore. So let's explore what that next level of protection really looks like. Okay, let's just jump right in with a question, and I want you to really think about this. What if, this very second, your main cloud account was completely compromised? I mean, everything's locked, deleted, or being held for ransom. Where does that leave your business? That thought? Yeah, it's a scary one, right? And it takes us right into our first big topic, the data danger zone. Because, look, you can't build a good defense if you don't really understand what you're up against. And listen, this isn't some far-off hypothetical stuff. Ransomware, it'll lock down your cloud files just as fast as the ones on your laptop. A malicious insider, a disgruntled employee, they can cause so much damage. And then there's the biggest one of all, simple human error. Accidental deletion. Any of these things, especially if your whole source account gets hit, can just stop your business in its tracks. Okay, I know that sounds pretty bleak, but don't worry, it's not all bad news. There is a strategy that's purpose-built to counter these exact threats, and we're calling it the digital vault. So what is a vaulted backup, really? Well, at its core, it's a super secure, off-site copy of your data. But here's the key, the absolute secret sauce. It is completely independent of your main account. And that independence, that's everything. That is why this whole strategy works. Here's a good way to think about it. Imagine your data is a VIP. A vaulted backup, that's its personal, round-the-clock bodyguard. So let's take a look at how this bodyguard actually does its job. It really comes down to three main things: genuine offsite protection, being incredibly resilient to deletions and attacks, and having automated backups that are actually flexible. And these aren't just random features on a list. They all work together, interlocking to create a really powerful security plan. Let's dig into that first one, because it's so important. We're talking about true offsite protection. This means that even if your original account is just a smoking crater on the internet, completely gone toast, your data is still safe. You can bring it back to the original account if you get it back, or, and this is the big one, you can restore it to a totally different, brand new account. That is an absolute game changer. So how does it pull that off? The magic word here is isolation. Your backup literally lives in its own separate protected bubble. This means if ransomware hits your main storage, it can't even see the vault. If an insider goes on a deleting spree, they can't touch the backup. It's a pristine, untouchable copy. That's how you guarantee business continuity no matter what happens. All right, so we get it. It's safe from outside attacks, but how safe is the vault itself? Well, this is where we get into what I like to call the Fort Knox security features. We're talking long-term hardcore protection. So check out this number, 99. What do you think that is? Days, months? No, we're talking 99 years. That's how long you can choose to keep this data. Just think about that. If you're in an industry like finance or healthcare with super strict compliance rules, being able to lock away your data securely for almost a century, that's not just a nice feature. That is a huge strategic weapon. And it's not just about locking it away for a long time. It's about how it's locked away. The whole design is built around security, like layers of a fortress wall. First, you've got a soft delete safeguard, kind of like a safety net for accidents. Then there's an immutability lock, which means for a period of time, that data literally cannot be changed or deleted, period. Of course, it's all wrapped in end-to-end encryption. And to top it all off, for the really critical actions, you need multiple people to sign off. It's called multi-user authorization. No one person has the keys to the kingdom. Okay, so we've gone through all these features, the vault, the isolation, the Fort Knox security. What does this all boil down to? What's the ultimate takeaway for you and your business? Well, the change is pretty dramatic when you lay it out. Think about it. Before, you probably had a single point of failure. Your backup was tied to your main account, so it was vulnerable to the exact same threats. But after, you have isolated protection. You go from being a sitting duck for ransomware to actually guaranteeing your business can keep running. You shift from constantly worrying about total data loss to having real compliance and, actual peace of mind. So if there's one thing to take away from all of this, it's this. This represents a fundamental shift in thinking. It's about moving away from a state of just being vulnerable to one of being truly resilient. That's the real end goal here, business resilience. And I'll leave you with this one last question to chew on. Think about your own backup strategy right now. Is it truly independent, or is it just another copy, sitting in the same building, metaphorically speaking, waiting for the same disaster to hit? Something to really think about. Thanks for joining me.